because yoga has a sense of seriousness to it. It's not just fun and games. When I first came into the world of yoga, this is what I saw so much of. Everything was a game. Yes, we play with kids, but you can make it a serious game. And they fall right in because we're all spiritual matter. And then we live in this body. So when you connect to that side of the child, they're just fascinated and they flow with you. In general, that's been my experience. So I come into this class with children and I make, right away, we always work in circle. In the center of the circle, I take out 4 objects representing the directions. What would you suggest for courage? Just something symbolic, simple. A lion, you could put a lion for courage. So I've got my little baby lion, I brought him with me and I take it out because in pedagogy, surprise is really important. You're emotionally interacting with something and surprise just makes the memory stick. Today, friends, we're going to work on looking at the planet and how we can learn from the different areas of the Earth. North, South, East, and West. This is totally new to them, they have no clue. So here, courage. First thing we need when we're working out in the world is the ability to say, I can do this. And that's the mantra for this side. I can do it, I can do this, I can do this. And this is what our lion teaches us. Put down a lion, courage is in our lion. Our lion is in our heart. It's that courageous, big heart opening. Now to the north, strength. This hard life we're living, guys. The kids, usually by 7 years old, are not so happy to be in school, in general. Strength. We need some strength to get through a lot of what we're getting through in life. What would you put down?
Metal.
Metal, a piece of metal, a rock, a meteorite. And then maybe I would have a meteorite, and I'd say, this is a special metal. Everyone's going to touch everything. Move it around the room. Allow them to have that interaction. The first few minutes of class in general are for us to come together and feel. So this is the metal, and this represents the strength that we need to get through every day. All of us need strength, not just to play basketball, but that inner strength that this practice that we're so lucky to be part of, so lucky, teaches us and cultivates in us. And in the ancient times, many wise people went to the north to look for strength. They looked to the highest mountain, they looked to that cold wind from the north, and they said, I can do this, I can do this. From wisdom, what could we bring out to symbolize wisdom for the kids? An owl. They connect so clearly to the animal world. So using animals with children is very clever. And I think as a whole human race, we're starting to understand a lot more about animals. And of course, the native traditions have so much to teach us. They speak to the animals, they see their energy move, and a lot of kids are aware of this. By now I know my kids, and I could say, Mary, I know you're moving next year. It's a big deal. You have to have the courage to move on with this, and the strength to change and say goodbye to your friends, and the wisdom to know that your parents are doing the right thing for you, for your whole family. This is clever. How can you make this separation to your know-hows in a way that's graceful and going to help you move along, and you'll meet a lot of friends, and how can we do this clever? So once you know the kids, you start drawing them in on your conversations, and you create your classes for them. Not because this is what yoga says we should do, but because I've seen who I have, and I think I can help guide them to a better place in their lives. In my teacher trainings, I don't give you a big long curriculum and say, day 1, day 2, day 3. It's general things. We need to teach this part of the body. We need to bring them into this breath. All of this should be there. But you're not teaching to the kids. You're not meeting the kids where they are if you come in with a pre-made class and say, this is the way it's done. And maybe I'll put the wisdom a little closer to her. I know John broke his arm and has an issue with strength. At the end of the class, I might say, John, take this rock with you. This is yours today. Use it. And he will use it seriously. humility, clean heart. What would we use in this corner?
Paloma.
But it's a nice, dove, a bird that brings peace and brings joy. And maybe I could ask them to create in front of their mats their own. And then we'll go through the class. For me, the first mantra for strength or courage is I can do it, I believe myself. And this is more the breath. I can. My heart is big and strong, huge. We'll do a bunch of different exercises around breathing, some pranayamas. And again, I can do it. When we move over to the north, any of the strengthening poses, the warrior poses that they love. And draw up, get the strength in your arms and your legs. Bring in that metal that has supported you. Having something physical for them to relate to is really lovely. And it just make associations. We're constantly making associations with them. I'm ending the class after they've gone through all the postures, most likely a very long meditation. We're there, guided visualization. So I make the differentiation between mindfulness practice, meditation, and guided visualizations with them. They really come into guided visualizations clearly, easily. So maybe I take them to the 4 directions. And imagine you flew to one of the corners that you need to feel. And maybe the paloma or the owl is going to take you on a journey somewhere. So for the in-guided visualizations with children, the most effective way to bring them into their own true nature and to be connected to themselves is for you not to give them instructions. And now we're in a green pond, and now you see a tree, and now a bird of different color comes in. No, you take them to a place where they feel safe and you let them be free. You let them be free and let their creativity and whatever energies that we don't see come to them and work with them. So say we've taken them and I said, now we're in the middle of one of your favorite places in the world. Could be your grandmother's house, could be your bedroom with all of your things, could be in the middle of nature somewhere, the beach, on an island, wherever. And one of the elements from this direction that we just played with is going to come and visit you. And you have 10 minutes, where I look at the time, to just be free and see what messages they have for you. Amazing what they come out with. And then they take that with them, so that's theirs. At the end of every class, for me, it's a mantra. How did you feel? How did it go? Who did you see? Would you like to share it with me? Would you not like to? Sometimes they don't want to share, and you respect that, and they move right out. But it's lovely to know. Because once you know, you can work with it. Paloma came to me. So I know my child needs peace. We're bringing Paloma today, I'm sure. Or they'll come in and say, I need lion. Man, good strong practice for you today. And then while I'm teaching, I'll turn every once in a while and bring them lion. So it's always you're with the compass on who needs what and when. You're meeting the children where they are. And they're all over the map. And know that they are not the problem. So many kids have that sensation. After meditation that's been profound like this, and everyone's quiet, they're following you like the Pied Piper. And I don't know if that's the Pied Piper doesn't always do good things, but the question of they're with you because you're with them, each individual ones. At the end of a meditation where they've gone deep, it's lovely for them to draw. So you really have to time your classes well with children in general, so that it's not over and now the bell rang and you didn't close. The beginning of your classes and the ending of your classes are golden. This is what they take with them. So the way you receive them and the way you allow them to leave. This is a big misconception. Kids go to yoga to relax. No, they come to yoga to learn about themselves, to learn about life, to get tools to journey forward, to know how to speak to one another, to know how to have eye contact. So A lot of this, we do little dynamics where we sit one-on-one, hand on the heart, and just look at each other and be with one another in ways that we're not normally with each other in day-to-day living. And we do lots of massages, lots of singing, important songs. It don't only have to be mantras. Here's a song that I would use with the children, and you might know this already. The river, she is flowing, flowing, flowing. It's lovely to use your body, so that your body in the class. The river, she is flowing to the sea. Ah, mother, carry me, your child I will always be. Ah, mother, carry me to the sea. And so you give them these songs of power. I know a child has problems with mom. I know she does. I'm going to give them this song today and see where she goes with it, or he. And you'll know that the children will take the songs they need and they use them as mantras. So this one, I've seen children come in and rejoice in it, or they need it to deal with a loss of some sort. We have fun songs too. Engage and stretch, twist and turn, twist and turn. This is yoga, this is yoga. Om Sweet Om, Om Sweet Om. Now everybody take a nice deep breath. And simple, but they'll use it. This is in Spanish. Well, let's see if I can't speak in English. Yo soy único, I am unique, I am magnifique. There's no one in the world like me. She is unique, she is magnifique. There's no one in the world like her. And this song again and again in French and Spanish and English, and you are unique. We're empowering the children in yoga constantly. We're reminding them of their strength, their beauty, their limitless possibilities. When I said today in class, who knows, maybe one of you will teach us about breathing. So this is constantly with them. We don't know anything. Hopefully, maybe you are going to be the one who's going to guide me through a yoga practice someday that brings me beyond my limited thoughts. So they have the possibility in every school is a world, every child is a world. But in my experience in schools, there's a lot that could be changed. So as a classroom teacher, I thought this is a place where when we're more human, we're allowing kids without judgment. There's no good and bad postures. It's just the posture that we might need to help your body be stronger and more beautiful, more active, more alive, be its best version. So in our postures, I don't only teach them classic postures. We do a lot of functional movement so that they can run faster, jump higher, skip. A lot of children have a lot of issues with their bodies, big issues. So we want them to feel comfortable in their bodies and know that they have possibilities. I can't run, I'm the worst, nobody ever chooses me on the baseball team. So come on, what can we do? I know we can make this bigger, better for you. Let's do it. We'll work with you in this way. This is your job, this is your job, this is your job. Everyone is unique. So you cannot teach just flat out. This is yoga. It's my yoga, your yoga, my breath, your breath, what you need. And this is not easy to teach kids this way and to wrap them into your interests. And it's work. It's so much work to teach children compared to adults. Adults will follow this through. Kids have other things in mind all the time. So you have to earn their interest. So I had one child in this class exactly, that he was the wild man. He'd come in and remember this is one particular class where we're in a kindergarten, and kindergarten rooms are playful, lots of things, reminds you of when you were in kindergarten. And he was always the jokester, the gypsy, funny. After this class, we had candle. And we came in after feeling what we had to feel in the direction that we needed, and we were focusing on the candle. And suddenly, one of my 9-year-old girls starts to really get, this is what she was doing, literally. She was anxious, moving, and a bit nervous. And I see this coming on, everyone sees it coming on, and I invite everyone to close their eyes for a moment, come into the breath a little deeper. And when I see that she's settled, we all come out. And right away, tell us, how are you feeling? What's going on? My grandfather died in Greece. This is hysterical, this is in Greece. My grandfather died, and we were in the church in Greece, and he was here. He came, he was here in our class. Wow. I thought, oh, what a blessing. Oh, I'm so happy, I'm so glad for you. This young boy, the young man who was always the the jokester, from that day on, he was the perfect yogi. Who's coming to class today? But this is, we don't, many schools, many people, we don't have a spiritual tradition, many families. We don't go to church, like good or bad, whatever it was that we had when we were kids, it's not the norm anymore. And we are spiritual beings. The children look for this contact. They look for some place where they can go and feel themselves in a sacred, safe space. And this is what we create for them, so that they develop that. The last thing that we discovered today or worked on, the humility, that I am connected to something greater. There's something beyond. And whatever it is, the understanding is, in 2050, depression is taking over the planet. So there will be more people depressed, and many of the wise psychologists, neuroscientists, anyone who's doctors in the medical tradition have said, how interesting in research. Those people will have a connection to something greater, be it what it is. They tend to come out of their illness with more ease, more grace, more quickly. Those who don't, so that the children should have an understanding for feeling a connection with something greater. I try to give them this understanding, or an open connection, because everyone's is different, right away, so that they have something to pull on, somewhere to go to in their mantra, in their prayer, in their visualization with an animal, whatever it is. There's something more, and you're connected to something. You're not just something here, a piece of dust. And this, they get this right away. You create a sacred space, they come into it. So before I open the door, I'm already doing my magic, energetically, because you can. You can walk into a room and clean up space, you can bring out incense, you can chant a mantra before they come into class, you can connect with the children before and while you're writing class. Very key. Let's don't write a class because it's Christmas. Christmas, okay, giving, yay. Wait a minute, pause. I literally come, I'm like a mind map. I'll write in the center of my mind map, Christmas. And then from the mind map, 1,001 things that come out in Christmas, because I have children from all over the world. Doesn't mean the same to a Hindi child than to a female. So in my mind map, I connect to everyone, I realize what's going on, and then I start thinking of the lessons that I want to offer in that. And who would listen to or hear one more. I get into it, I get deep in creating the class, and then only to know in pure humility, you walk into the class and it's just going to be thrown away because they're in a totally different vibe. But as a teacher, you've done the work, you have it there. You know that you can pull out that teaching or that understanding of that child any second, in any context. So we do a lot of work as teachers to understand each child to understand how to talk so kids listen, how to listen so kids talk. This is one of our, like, nonviolent communication, but I've learned how to speak to kids. If you're talking to an adult, so what are the cues to make them open up? How to be really radically present with them, and at the same time fun. It's a balance, it's a challenge, but it's probably the most beautiful thing I've ever done. To watch them connect to spirit, connect to themselves, connect to each other in a non-judgmental way, always. I use a Ho'oponopono. That's
Hawaiian.
it's a Hawaiian blessing for family communication, and it's for forgiveness. So 2 kids have had an argument in your class, and someone just whacked someone on the back. In classic would be you out, right? I mean, in the classroom, or I've learned to just begin a song. And I'm gonna remember it in English.
I'm sorry, please forgive me.
Sorry. In Spanish, it's really lovely. I am. Lo siento, te amo, por favor, perdóname. Te agradezco, lo siento. I'm sorry.
Te amo,
Te amo, I love you. Please forgive me.
Thank you.
I thank you. Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono, Ho'oponopono. And you don't even have to go into, John, come on, what have you done? This I'm seeing the image of this in my class. It's an adolescent group. They are wicked violent. This is why they brought yoga into the school. So I've got this very difficult group. I've worked in Harlem, I've worked with the gypsies, I like this challenge. And here, this literally, back on the head, bam, the worst place you could hit someone, right into the brainstem. And I just ran into the song. So I jumped into the song. We're in a music room. All the kids stop. Everyone's looking. Everyone starts to slowly sing with me. I didn't say a word. The teacher, who's the music teacher, walks over to the piano, starts to play. Suddenly, the girls start to cry. This one looks at this one, we haven't talked in 3 weeks. They start hugging each other. So the yoga classes go way beyond just connection with my body, aligning properly. However, since I'm a freak about alignment, as many of Soma yoga peeps, is I know who's got lower spine issues, who's got the shoulder, and then it's again. I don't care in a classroom if I'm working one-on-one for 5 minutes and the rest are doing almost whatever. Being friendly, they know how to work in classes. But if I need to work with you one-on-one to make sure you're going to align in the best way so that you can get out of pain. I've been doing this 20 years with kids. I've never seen children in high school with more physical pain than now. Everyone's got something wrong. My hip, my shoulder. I don't remember this 20 years ago. It just wasn't as dense. So if ever we need children's yoga, I'd say it's now. I'd say it's now. Say you have 6 weeks only. Maybe start with a journal. Welcome to yoga. This is your journal. We're going to do such amazing things in this class. And by the end of the class, we're going to put together a theater. I love to bring theater into yoga classes with the kids. Because if you're teaching from September to June, let's say, somewhere in November, everyone's lost interest. I don't care how good you are as a teacher. You're tired. You've been doing this every day, hours. I've got exams. I remember, like a young yoga teacher, I've got things on the kids. What do we need? Theater. We're going to make a show to show everyone how and what we do in yoga class. And you co-create a little sketch with them so that you can show it to the teachers, the parents, or the high school kids. And then everyone wants to be on stage in general. And those who don't, okay, you have another job for them. You're in charge of props or our outfits, what we're gonna wear. Everyone has to have a job and everyone's involved. So theater twice a year, because more or less we lose concentration somewhere in November and at the end of the year, April, May, we're losing the kids. So all teachers know it's hard. So make it that fun. Now it's our festival time. Now we've got to put together a great show. It's so much fun. And then they keep those shows with them for the rest of their lives, because now they've had to practice their little vinyasa 1,000 times. And they've got it. They've got it. And oh, just amazing. And what should we bring in? And some child will say that Shiva Nataraj in the middle of the room. And they'll go together and we come into the room. But yeah, amazing. This for me is kids yoga. Not fly like a butterfly, loose fly like a butterfly forever. But that butterfly is transformation. That butterfly is going to move on to something bigger and better. It's going to make beauty in the world. Where's your beauty in the world? How do you express that? And they get it. And it stays with them forever. So that's good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.